Hello, 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 friends, and welcome back to the only show on YouTube where the host's jaw hit the floor when something new, fresh, and exciting finally happened on Survivor after 50 seasons. Welcome to the Have I Told You About This show. This is the show where each and every single week I take you to the places that my mind takes me. And this week's Survivor finally paid off on its promise to shake things up and make my mind blown. To begin with, I want to, as always, say thank you to each and every person who's even viewed my show for a moment. Now, I'm no Mr. Beast. Hint, hint. But, you know, it certainly wouldn't hurt my feelings if more people started watching the show. I do it as a passion thing that I love to do. I have a passion for sharing what's on my mind. And, water cooler talk is what it used to be called in the day. And just talking to people about what's on their mind, how they're feeling, what they've been enjoying, right? That's why I do this. So it's never going to be monetary, never going to sell anything, never ask you for any money, of course. I don't need your money. I just want to talk to you, right? And tonight we're going to talk about Survivor. So thanks to each and every one of you who've liked and subscribed and commented. And even if you've disliked, thank you as well. I appreciate it. All right. Tonight on the island, as you know, I turn into Buff Daddy, and I'm going to tell you all about the auction returning. I'm going to tell you about emotions cracking wide open. I'm going to tell you a story about a celebrity briefcase that changes the stakes and a tribal council that literally explodes into one of the season's most talked about moments. The players think they know the rules, but Mr. Beast and Jeff Probst will rewrite them in real time. Welcome, my friends, to Survivor Season 50. And I'm going to tell you all about Episode 10 right now. Season 50 is also known as In the Hands of the Fans and Friends. If that ever was true about the show, it's true tonight. So let's get to it. We start back at camp after the major bomb of Christian being sent home in glorious fashion last week. And hey, by the way, let me share something with you that most people probably won't share with you that are covering Survivor, because I'm pretty sure only a few people watch the show as closely as I do. Did you know that there was actually more to the award that Christian won, I should say, would have gotten one if he would have won his challenge? Now, eagle eyed viewers like Buff Daddy here, who watch the show multiple times and sometimes even watch it frame by frame, happen to catch the entire scroll that Christian had open on screen for the shortest amount of time. And I paused it and I was able to actually screenshot that, put it into AI, and have it interpret some of the text that I just couldn't read, that was a little too small at the bottom, what it thought it read. But really, everything that I read was enough for me to tell you what I'm about to tell you. It turns out, not only if Christian would have won, would he have immediately got to put a vote in the urn right there on the challenge set that he was on, and that vote obviously would have countered at tribal, but he would have also gotten to actually vote again at tribal, giving him a total of 2 votes for that evening. Or he would have just gotten, I mean, that he could have used that extra vote that he got that night, or he could have held on to it until a later time. He could have chosen to save that vote for another tribal. Now, my guess is they never went into telling you and I about all that to save time, as I mean, obviously, clearly they already knew Christian didn't win. There was no need to go into a bunch of detail for something that we would have never have seen. That's my guess. If you want to know the truth, I guess you'll have to ask Mr. Probst. All right. Now we're back at the camp. And we start, obviously, with Ozzy. And he is a little upset with Emily about her turning on him. And, you know, that's Emily. That's kind of what she does. He was very upset about that since he felt they were solid since day one. And then also, Emily said, which I loved a little bit later on after Ozzy just pounds her, and Ozzy's talking about how his social skills came through for him. And, he's glad to know that some people have his back. Look, Siri's got his back, obviously. That's why he's still in this game. So, he and Emily, they do kind of end up hugging it out. But then Emily gets some mic time here. And she says this is a first for her. Get this. This is Emily flipping for you. She says, and I quote, "I've never been on the wrong side of a vote before." Huh. If I remember correctly, she didn't win her season, did she? So the truth is, Emily, you indeed were on the wrong side of a vote that sent you home. Man, is Emily going to get anything right this season? Jeez. All right, so next up, after all of this nonsense that Emily gives us, Devins appears. He comes to the fire, and Ozzy starts calling him a sly devil. Ozzy calls him out for not playing his idol like he said he would. But Devins shoots back. He said, "I'm just trying to be my best version of Rizzo." Meaning he'll never play his idol, but he's going to tell everybody every week that he's going to. Of course, be a bad move, especially since Devins truly doesn't have an idol. His is fake. He made it. Well, Ozzy then called him backstabber Rick Devins. And again, Devins fires back. Takes one to know one. Oh, Devins is starting off this 2-hour episode on fire. Yes, friends, this was a 2-hour episode. Well, then Devins and Emily begin to hang out together in the hammock, and Devins tells her that he is about to blow this game up big time. One of the lines of the night comes from Devins. He says that on his first season, one of the big mistakes that those people made were letting him know he was on the bottom. And he says, "When I know I'm on the bottom and alone, then I can cause chaos. So just wait. This is going to be good." Friends, that indeed will turn out to be true before the night's over, but not solely because of Devins. All right, what's next? So, Devin spends a little bit more time talking about causing chaos. And then, of course, we have to run into all of the people who are gone and the few who are still with us. And then we get to Aubrey. Aubrey decides with fewer people in the game, it just might be time to start playing this game. Yeah. What an ignorant thing to think, much less say out loud. In Survivor, you start playing the game before you get on the island, if you have any intentions of winning. But hey, that's Aubrey. That's why she's never won, and I don't think is going to win now. So, Devins has this epiphany, and do I just keep playing that I've got an idol and blah, blah, blah? And then he comes to the conclusion that he catches everybody around the fire at camp, and he decides to come clean about his fake, what he called pocket square idol that he created and planted. It's called that because he literally just took a pocket square piece of cloth and wrapped it up and called it an idol. Now, by him telling everybody he did that, doesn't that just put a massive target on his back? If it doesn't, I'm not sure what would at this point, right? But then Devins says this after he tells everybody that. He says, "So if this doesn't put me at the bottom and make me the easiest wasted vote you have, I don't know what does." And I loved every second of what he just said. That's exactly what you do after a lie, right? You point out that, sure, you could vote me off, but look, I just came clean to you that I don't have an idol. And he doesn't actually follow that up by saying anything else, but he doesn't have to, because what he's implying is, I don't have an idol, but Rizzo and Ozzy do, and they are much bigger targets than me. So if you want to waste your vote on me, that's fine. But guess who you should be voting out? Friends, that's GOAT play. That's GOAT play. GOAT, greatest of all time. That's why they all should have been doing this from the start, when they either got idols or advantages. You lie your ass off about having them, and then you point to other people who were stupid enough to tell others about their advantages to save yourself. Well played, Rick Devens. Welcome to the game. So, after he tells everybody about this, and there's your pocket square on the video, and he said, I made not even a fake idol. And then all of a sudden, Ozzy and Joe keep playing a dumb emotional game. And they decide that Devens, because he did what he did, well, he and now Emily are the biggest threats in the game. The Ozzy wants Emily out now since she backstabbed him. And Joe, of course, wants Devens because, well, he had an argument with him. Dumb, 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 dumb. These are supposed to be seasoned players, yet when they hear their name mentioned, all they can do is focus like a laser on whoever said their name, whether they're a threat or not. That, my friends, is the opposite of GOAT play. Also, if I may, as we watch Devens walk away through the woods, may I point out to you, humble Survivor fan, that this is not the first, but it is the second week that an idol has been able to be found on this island. And 0 people are looking for it. You do realize this is Survivor 50. This is the creme de la creme, the best of the best. And they can't even figure out there's an idol on the island. And remember, Devens is known as the Idol King. And he needs one now more than ever. But instead, he wants to lay around in the hammock with Emily and talk crap about how he's going to blow up the game. So on the one hand, he's making GOAT moves. And on the other hand, he's getting cocky and forgetting that this game is still being played. That's crazy talk. All right, here we go. This is the set of the auction. They show previous auctions and they show the people coming up, right? Survivor auction, I can be a part of it. Yay, Rizzo. Good for you, son. All right, so they all line up. The Survivor auction's back. But instead of, as in the past, making people go out and find their money, Jeff simply hands each person $500 for the auction. That, my friends, is weak in my opinion. But given what's about to happen, I'll allow it. There is a twist with this auction, though, and I do love a twist. You see, whenever you win something, it might be comfort, or it might be what I love most in this game, chaos. Or it might even be a 2-person auction item where you may get to share the items with someone else, or maybe there's chaos involved with it. And you might spend your money on nothing. You never know. Now, this was, of course, created and brought up by the fans, because in 49 other seasons of this show that I love so much named Survivor, the staff couldn't come up with anything this diabolical. That's why this season has been the best season of Survivor to date. Plain and simple. As a side note, by the way, I should mention there's no risk of anyone here losing their vote in the auction like they could have in the past. Typically, the person who had the least amount of money left at the end or people lost their vote. Not so in this auction. Also, any money that you don't spend at the end, you get to actually keep. You just put it in your pocket. Look, whatever was left would be chump change anyway. You're playing for $1 million. And then, after we spend a lot of time telling everybody all the rules about this, and it kind of blows their mind, right? What do you mean chaos? Uh, okay, shall we begin? And he says there'll always be a question with every item. Is there chaos involved with it? And so they start, and of course, Aubrey actually speaks up and asks Jeff, "Hey, Jeff, how many items will be in the auction?" Now I know her name was listed as being on Survivor 3 other times, but clearly she's never truly played the game of Survivor. As if Jeff would tell you anything like that. What a fool. I truly believe they just asked Aubrey to be on this show for comic relief. All right. So, with every item the folks that are up for bid, the folks will not know at all if there's chaos that comes along with it. So, for example, Jeff might open up one of the items and say, "This is a cheeseburger with fries on it." And you bet $100 on it and you win it. Then you go up to claim it. Jeff might say, "Here it is, but in order to get this, now you have to do something chaotic or else you don't get it and you wasted your money." But then again, maybe he just hands it to you and you eat it and laugh in front of everybody else while you do it. No chaos involved. This is chaos incarnate, and I love every second of it. And if they don't do this in every season going forward when they have an auction, then you're wasting my time because I'm not going to like it. You've now showed me the best. I could not get enough of the suspense that came up with each item that was forbid. So let me just say the first item that came up, it was French fries. And I think maybe onion rings. Yeah, onion rings, French fries, and some sauces, right? And Devin's bid $160 for it. And he won it. So he goes up to claim it. And he says, "Oh, can I sample it?" And he goes, "Yeah, go ahead." So he does sample it. His last night was rough, Jeff. I need me some food. And then Jeff tells him, "Hey, good news, Devins. There's no chaos attached to this item." So Devin now just gets to eat the most expensive French fries he's ever had in his life. And this, friends, is going to be the theme set by Devins for the entire rest of the show. The Survivor gods are watching out for him. Now, look, I am not going to go into every single item that was done on this show. I'm just going to in the interest of speed, just kind of go through these real quickly. Like there, Emily won a shake, and it had no chaos involved with it, right? Um, we move on. 80. Jonathan wants fruit and cheese and crackers for $80. Oh yeah, and then Emily says, "I'm gonna poop my brains out later for drinking this shake." Okay, so here we go. The first item that was chaos was a two-person item. Okay, it's two persons, and you see there 200, 60 to Rizzo, 200 Ozzy, going once, going twice, and then Aubrey steps in. And she picks Rizzo as her person. She bids $280, and as you can see, Jeff unveils two round boxes and says one of them is comfort and one is chaos. And there is no way to tell which is which. He tells them now to decide who's going to choose which item, right? And then everybody says, "Hey, Rizzo's a picky eater. Watch out. If it's something that you have to eat that's bad, you're going to lose." So Aubrey said, "I'm a psycho. I'll do it. Let's do it." So the stipulation is whatever the comfort is, they both get to share it. But that's only provided that the person who gets the chaos item fulfills whatever it is. So turns out the comfort was a plate of eight large chocolate chips, as you see here, with a big old glass of milk, and they could both split it. In order to get those, though, Aubrey yeah, look at Cerie. Aubrey had to eat these massive, and two of them, grubs. Aubrey simply, like a psycho, grabbed those grubs and started chewing them like they were crackers, and they were gone in a heartbeat. So her and Rizzo won. See there, that's completed. And they won the cookies and the milk, and they got to take them back and sit down. So let's see. There, a bunch of other some things for $20. Now the next chaos item, Jonathan bought for $320. It also was a two-person auction item. Jonathan picked Ozzy, and Jeff told them it is called a fall on the sword item. Here's how it worked. The person who picks the chaos item has to complete it like Aubrey just did. But only the person who got the comfort item gets to enjoy it. So the person in chaos is falling on the sword for the other person. The one person is going to sacrifice for the other to get the comfort. And I love it. This is chaos. This is chaos. This is what should happen. Let's put some humans in some situations where they feel a little uncomfortable. Okay. Not just, oh, I'm starving for rice. We get that. We've had 49 seasons of that. Look, if now, here's what happened. Jonathan comes up and he's thinking about it, and he picks one item, and he picked the chaos item. Ozzy then gets this fried chicken. Fried chicken. Like, well, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of fried chicken, some mashed taters, and a sody. That's all Ozzy's. All he has to do in order to get those items is for Jonathan to eat a sea slug, and it is massive. Ozzy then tells him, "If you do this, I'll give you some of my money." Right. Now, let me ask you. If you're Jonathan, yeah, you just paid money. I get it, right? You paid your money, your 320. But now, are you really gonna eat a sea slug so that Ozzy can have that meal? Everybody starts calling Jonathan then total package, total package, they start yelling it at him. And everybody's like, "Oh no, 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 no." Jonathan is working to get it down, right? Jonathan, oh man, Jonathan struggled to get that slug down. And he almost threw up doing it. But he did it, and he did it for Ozzy. Then Jonathan went and literally threw up. I mean, threw up. Went to the woods. You heard it. Ugh, he threw up. Now, fellow Survivor fans, think about this for a moment. Jonathan could have easily just said no. But this was strategic gameplay on his part. Luck didn't go his way when he chose the items. But you can bet Ozzy's going to remember what Jonathan did for him in this moment. And it's going to pay off later for Jonathan. Well played. Well played, Jonathan. And yes, you sacrificed. You can hear him throwing up, and people are putting their hands over their ears because they don't want to hear him throwing up. Right? And Jonathan says, I hope you like it, Ozzy. And Ozzy eats it all. Then, oddly enough, Siri gets this charcuterie board and she wins it. And it's very, very cheap. And then goes back and sits down for a few minutes and says, Hey, Jeff, I got to get sick. He goes, Oh, you're going to be sick. And then Stephanie goes, Oh, can I buy her food from her then? And Jeff says no. And she goes, Hey, look, I'm going to go get sick and throw up, but I'm going to come back and finish eating this food. Two and two don't be four here for me, folks. If eating this food made you sick, are you really going to continue to eat it? And Suri does it. She goes and throws up. She comes back and she finishes her charcuterie board. I don't understand these people. Ozzy wins a cake, smashes his entire face in it. There's Suri eating her food. And then she says, Oh no, I'm going to be sick. And goes over. That's her hunched over. She's throwing up. Jeff is laughing at her because she came back and started eating her food again. That literally happened. All right. Next up, Aubrey. Remember, I just said Aubrey was here for comic relief. Aubrey won a $260 bowl of mac and cheese. But when Jeff asked her what it tasted like, she said it tasted like home, and it reminded her of her toddler at home. And then I started to feel like an ass, right, for making fun of her. This was a touching moment, but it served a purpose. It allowed Jeff then to talk about what home means to these people. Now, come on, we're Survivor fans. We know when certain words are said, what's going to happen next. When the word home is mentioned, it's time for letters from home, isn't it? Well, absolutely. That's exactly what's going to happen next, right? This is the last item in uh, the auction, okay? And Jeff tells him this is actually designed to be shared by all of you, and he hasn't showed him what it is yet. And he tells them, but to get it, each of you have to pay $20. Okay. And of course, Stephanie's like, everybody give 20. Come on. We want we want whatever it is. Whatever it is, even if it's chaos, it's only $20. Right. And then there's talk as if it's comfort. And because I think she knew it was letters from home. And sure enough, um, there are the letters that you can see. But then Jeff drops the bomb and he said, But is there an equal dose of chaos with these letters? He pauses and he says, Why, yes, there is. And I loved it again. Oh, so far to me, this has been the second best episode of Survivor in Survivor history. For me, I'm only talking to me personally. It was only topped for me by the episode when Joe went and helped Eva when she had her mental health issue on the show. And to me, that will never be topped. That was just Joe was literally on another tribe at that time, and they were trying to win a challenge. And he literally steps away from that and went over to Eva to hold her because he knew that's what she needed in that moment, that physical touch to help ground her. He didn't care what his tribe thought. He was going to help another human being. It's the only time it's ever happened on Survivor. Probably be the only time it ever does happen. And I've always had a warm spot in my heart for Joe, but I'm sorry, Joe. This year you're just not playing a great game so far. I'm glad you're still here with us. Kind of hope you go far, but you're gonna have to do something here soon, sir. Besides float, that to me, his moment with Eva was incredibly special, and it helped me to actually regain some faith I had lost in the human race at that point. But that's a story for another time. Let's get back to the chaos. Jeff then introduces one person who's truly going to change the world. Jeff calls him the biggest YouTuber on planet Earth. There he is, Jimmy Mr. Beast. The survivors go crazy, and Mr. Beast shows up with a briefcase. Please note that that is the Beast Games logo on it with some survivor torches on the side. But what Jeff said next really did not set well with me. So if you'll allow Buff Daddy a moment here, a super fan, someone who's seen every episode of Survivor and many of them multiple times, I'm going to step up now on a soapbox for just a moment. And I'm going to take Mr. Probst behind the woodshed. Jeff actually said he was honored to have the biggest thing in the world on his little show. Insert record scratch here. Brrr. What a crock of crap. Look. I do not hate or even dislike Mr. Beast in any way. Now look, you can tell you're looking at me. I'm older. I don't watch his stuff. I'm not his demographic, right? But hey, if he had the wherewithal to build up his brand and stick with it and do something like this and made himself a millionaire or a billionaire or a trillionaire or a zillionaire off of it, and now he has the Beast Games TV show, man, good on you. But fellow Survivor superfan friends, his popularity is nowhere near what Survivor has built up over 50 seasons. No way, no how, period. Jeff is just simply wrong here. He could have simply said it's an honor to have another superfan on the show, and that Jeff would be happy to help make their dreams come true by allowing them to become part of the game. I may never forgive Jeff for this slight to the one true reality show that I have grown to love and respect over the years. Again, no harm, no foul, and certainly no hate to Mr. Beast in any way. In fact, if you keep watching, Mr. Beast himself even said it was him who should be thanking Jeff for the privilege to be on the show. Mr. Beast, good on you, man, for building what you have. I struggle to get 10 people to watch a video for longer than 2 minutes. I get it. It takes work, and you've put in the work, and you've got millions, and that's great. So again, brother, congratulations. You earned it. It's Jeff who was wrong, and I'll have a hard time letting that one go. All right. Let me get off my soapbox now. Mr. Buff Daddy's going to get back to the show. So Mr. Beast turns the briefcase then around. Right? After he tells everybody, see, a little show. Mr. Beast said, this isn't a little show. Obviously, it's huge. I mean, he has to even correct Jeff. It's crazy. I mean, look, I need you to find somebody who looks at you the way Probst is looking at Mr. Beast right now. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And look. This is partly done tongue-in-cheek, but also partly very real, right? Jeff shouldn't have done that. Of course, I respect Jeff Probst for what he's done. He's been here since the beginning. He's been a huge part of the creation of something that we've all grown to love. And Jeff, man, I know you're not watching this. I'm the farthest person from your orbit and your world. But brother, I got you. I'll have your back. But this was wrong. This was just wrong. All right. Anyway, Mr. Beast then he's got to do a little tease here, right? So he takes the case and he turns it around and look what it says. Beware. It's the Mr. Beast Super Beware Advantage. What is it? Everybody says. Jeff said you'll find out at Tribal. And then Jimmy, I didn't know Mr. Beast's real name was Jimmy, walks off. And now Jonathan says, I've watched Mr. Beast for years and I know he brings it big and we all better be crapping our pants right now. I love Jonathan. All right, it's time. We walk away and we head to a challenge. Once again, it's another immunity challenge we have seen over and over and over and over. Look, I officially hereby, as of episode 10, give up any hope of seeing any new challenges on Survivor. I know you've given up. It's over. We can just now live on nostalgia of the things of the past and puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. I get it. So a little bit of my Survivor heart dies with that, but all right, I'll allow it. All right, this is the immunity listen to me, immunity test that challenges your balance and control. You got to have both feet on a narrow piece of wood that's angled downward, right? And it gets smaller the farther you head down toward the ground. You start kind of a little elevated off the ground on it. And while you stand on there, you're balancing a ball on a wooden bow. Historically, this has been a great challenge to watch because it doesn't really last that long. Nobody lasts long at this challenge, right? So there it is. There's the thing that you can walk on, and clearly at the top there's room for both feet side by side. The second section it gets a little tougher, especially if you have big feet. That last section is 1 foot in front of the other, right? As we see there, 1 foot in front of the other. You win, you're guaranteed a spot, as he says. If you lose, you're the fifth member of the jury. So they all get set and get the balls put there. All right, here we go. It is Stephanie goes out first, and then Rizzo, and then Aubrey, and then Siri, and then Devens, then Emily, and now we're down to Oz and Tiffany. And if you've been paying a lot of attention here, Tiffany hasn't really moved very much at all. Here they're moving down spots, right? So clearly she's not out yet. They're on to the final section. So it gets down to um, I think Ozzy, Joe, and Tiffany. There's Jonathan. Yeah, Ozzy, Joe, and Tiffany. Joe, who I had said will probably win this because the last week's holding on to that thing took tons and tons of stamina, and he has it. But unfortunately, it just wasn't his day. He ended up kind of tripping up a little bit, and he was gone. That left Ozzy and Tiffany, and Ozzy ended up bowing out. Tiffany wins immunity, locking safety going into tribal. And she slammed her face right into the sand after she won. I know she was incredibly happy because here's something pretty cool, just a little trivia. On her season, on day 19, she got voted out. This is day 19 here. And she said, I wanted to make sure I did not go home again on day 19. So, back at camp, we get to see a few of the survivors opening their letters from home and talking about what those letters kind of meant to them. And that's always good to see, getting to, see them get their letters opened and you know you learn a lot about these people at that point because they're talking a lot about their family because most of the time it is their family who write them the letters and this. For me, it's always part of the show that reminds me that these are real people and they're playing a game, and whether you like them or not, they're great players. Whether you think they're great or not. And maybe they're bad players, whether you think they're bad or not. These are real people though, with real lives. And they put them on hold. And yeah, they're lucky. They get a chance to better themselves and their families with $1 million. That is for sure. And now the name slinging begins. And when I say name slinging, folks, I ain't kidding. I think at one point this evening, pretty much everybody's name is talked about. And it's crazy. Aubrey, Stephanie, and Jonathan start by saying that Devins is the obvious person to vote off. But it didn't take long for Jonathan to throw out Ozzy's name to the group. And then tell them that, Stephanie's going to be on board if we vote out Ozzy, Joe. And Joe, of course, well, let's hold off on that for a moment, shall we? Jonathan actually made a huge play here, right? It was the play of the season so far. He mentioned Ozzy's name to Stephanie, and he got Stephanie to go out and throw out Ozzy's name. And he did that so that wouldn't be traced back to him. See, if others then that Stephanie talks to about this are good with it, then Jonathan gets what he wants and enough people vote for Ozzy and he goes home. But if they aren't, and listen, we all know Siri's not going to be down with that, then Jonathan's free and clear because it wasn't him who mentioned Ozzy's name. It was Stephanie. Well played, sir. Well played, Jonathan. Welcome to the game. Props and a lot of flowers to you, good man. But that wasn't his only move. Jonathan also told Stephanie that Ozzy had been throwing her name around a lot. And that was a lie. Right? It was completely a lie. And again, well played, Jonathan. Jonathan also takes Aubrey and Stephanie and heads over to Devins and tells him that he'll be safe tonight if he votes for Ozzy. And of course, Devins says he's all for that because it'll keep him safe. So for Jonathan, it was 2 steps forward with those great moves that he just made and 1 step back because he never, ever, ever should have said anything to Devins. You already know you can't trust Devins. Look at all the shenanigans. Building fake idols, all this. You don't fill in the person at the bottom, right? People are now screaming at me, "Of course you need the numbers." Friends, you really don't, because in that group, you've got Stephanie who's got to steal a vote. And you've got some other advantages that you didn't need Devins. And when he told Devins, he literally ended up telling everyone. Of course, Devins goes directly to Emily and tells her what Jonathan and that group just told him. And Devins and Emily begin to plot how they can use that against them. Jonathan then tells Joe Ozzy was the plan for tonight. And Joe agrees, but he knows Siri will never agree. And besides, he still has a mad on for Devins because remember, they argued with one another earlier in the season, and Joe's just laser focused on getting Devins out no matter what. Joe then goes to Siri and tells her that Stephanie wants Ozzy out. At that moment in my head, a loud red alarm started going off. Ooga, ooga, because once Siri gets wind that somebody said Ozzy's name, that person's going home. Right then, I figured out that no matter what happens from here on out the rest of the night, I don't care what the Mr. Beast thing is, Stephanie's going home somehow, and Siri will see to it. Siri has the Survivor gods this season, and they are behind her, and they are shoving her, steamrolling her into the winner's seat. And now, look, I'm not dumb. I know the editors are going to work hard to throw out as many names at us as they can tonight. But Stephanie has Siri's laser on her now, and there's no one that's going to change that. And if that wasn't enough for Stephanie, she then seals the deal by going up directly to Siri and trying to say that she had heard from other people that Ozzy was the target tonight. Wasn't her idea. Of course, Siri saw right through that. And now, not only is the laser target on Stephanie, it's going to be Siri's mission in life now. It will be life or death that Stephanie goes home. Ozzy then gets to Jonathan and asks him, "Hey, did Stephanie throw out my name?" Jonathan acted dumb and assured Ozzy that he was safe. And of course, Jonathan would never write his name down. Well played, sir. Jonathan then goes back to Stephanie, tells her that the jig is up. Ozzy is on to him. And then it turns out that Stephanie tonight just loves the taste of her own feet because she grabbed both of them and shoved them right in her mouth. Because then she goes up to Siri and tells her that she now knows that Siri wants her out. Stephanie and Jonathan and their group then do the run the numbers game on the votes. They get it figured out that Ozzy's probably going to play his idol, and Stephanie will play her steal a vote against Ozzy's vote, take his vote right away from him, right? And that gives them the numbers to get Ozzy out. Plain and simple. Friends, no one at all before we get to tribal said a word, and I mean a word, about the Mr. Beast advantage or what that was or what it could be. Tribal time and Beast reveal. Jeff starts by asking them, how has having this Mr. Beast Super Beware advantage hanging over your heads all day affected you? They said, oh, Jeff, it was more chaos today than usual. But as we saw, pretty much everyone at camp had their own agendas, their own thoughts, and were running like chickens with their heads cut off to save themselves. And like I said, not a single one of them ever even said a word about this advantage. But now the bell is tolling, and we are about to find out exactly what this Mr. Beast advantage is. And friends, hold on to your butts, to quote one Samuel Jackson from Jurassic Park. But before we can get to Mr. Beast, Mr. Chaos shows up, Rick Devens. And Devens decides it's time to blow up Tribal. He wound himself up, he opened his mouth, and he let out every single piece of information he knew. He told everyone who has idols, what idols they have, what advantages they have. He tells everyone who came up to him and what they said today and exactly who they told him to vote for. And for the most part, he kept pointing back at good old Stephanie here. Her name just kept coming out over and over and over again, and Devens claims she was the mastermind to get Ozzy's out. Friends, Stephanie tried her best to talk her way out of the mess that Devens put her in. It was clear, though, in people's minds, and especially in Siri's mind, that she was the target. And there was a lot of back and forth, and Stephanie saying some things like, and it was my idea to get Ozzy out. No, it wasn't, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? She never once said, hey, it was Jonathan. It was Jonathan all along. So Jeff brings in Mr. Beast. It's time to find out what's in the Beast case. Turns out, well, it's a simple coin. One side of it has the Mr. Beast Games logo on it. The other side, a survivor torch. One of these crazy survivors is going to get the chance to flip this coin. If they call it correctly, get this, the winner's prize for Survivor doubles to $2 million, courtesy of our friend Mr. Beast. But if you call it wrong, the prize stays at 1 million, and the person that made the bad call on the flip instantly voted off, no vote. This, my friends, is chaos incarnate. And I get chills thinking about it. This could not be better for a lover of chaos in this game like myself. Now, let me say this. I don't necessarily like that it was turned out to be the luck of flipping a coin instead of making them do some challenge, right? That might be more skill based. But look, I'll take what I can get when it comes to chaos, and especially as tame as this season has been so far. But now comes the rub. Now comes the rub. Who amongst this group would step up and want to flip this coin? Who would be willing to put their chance at winning Survivor on a flip of a coin? Well, of course, no sane person is going to be willing to do that, right? Well, look at my screen. Right in the middle of it is an insane person, Mr. Rick Devens. He's clearly insane, as he stood right up and volunteered to go do it. His mind was in a place that, well, I just blew up the game. And pretty much now my only hope is to flip this coin and get it right. That ensures my safety. It gets me an idol even after that. And then tomorrow, while everybody's still talking about me, just like they were with the fake idol that I did, I'll just do what I did yesterday. Tomorrow, I'll deflect onto another target, and I'll be fine. That's goat play. But really putting your life on the line on a coin flip? Friends, there's no day of the week that ends in Y that I would have stood up and volunteered to do that. No way. No how. I know my luck. Right. And of course, no one else on this tribe seriously considered doing it. Aubrey kind of mentioned something about it, but then she immediately backed right off of it. So Devens steps up. He's handed the coin. He chooses the Mr. Beast logo. Look at him smiling. He's up there with Jeff. This is his moment. This is a historic moment. And he steps up. He's handed the coin. He chooses the Mr. Beast logo. Jeff tells him if it's Mr. Beast, the prize goes to $2 million. You're safe tonight. Can't be voted for. You get an idol. And you're still in the game. But if it's torches up, you're gone. And the camera, of course, showed him flipping the coin. And look at everybody looking at it. Heads was the Mr. Beast logo. It landed on heads. Rick Devens just hit on a 50-50 chance to stay in the game and to make this prize double. Rick Devens is safe tonight. Rick Devens gets an idol tonight. And now this group has to vote someone else out. If you had to buy stock, and you could buy stock in Rick Devens, it just hit an all-time high. And now he's still in the game, and now he has a shot to win $2 million instead of one. Then this tribal became a live tribal. Everyone stands up. Everyone starts muddling around. Everyone is whispering, grouping up, whispering this, screaming that, talking about this, trying to figure this. Jeff's taking it all in. But in the end, it turned out exactly as I figured. Stephanie unanimously was voted out. I mean, unanimously. So, time to wrap this up. This one for me, as I mentioned, has been one of the best episodes of Survivor I can remember. It truly had absolutely everything in it for me it could. It had action. It had an auction where strategy came into play multiple times. Multiple times. It had tension with the introduction of this Mr. Beast Beware advantage and the uncertainty of what that could bring. It had the drama of a coin flip by Devins. A coin flip. And it had the triumph of a coin flip by Devins. And in the end, the player who made the most serious errors in the show over and over and over won the right to be voted out and went home. Season 50 has been redeemed for me in one episode. This is why I love Survivor. Even the crappy seasons. And yes, there's been a few. Because at the end of the day, it's a story being told about humans doing human things. And when humans are involved, it's messy. And you never know what you're going to see. Tonight, we saw a man willing to put $1 million on the line for a coin flip. All right. Now it's time for Buff Daddy to start awarding some best of categories like I always do. First up, best strategic game, Mr. Rick Devins. He started with a strategic move in the morning by confessing the fake idol and diverted the target. You could almost literally see him pick the target off his back and just flip it somewhere else because he's like, you ain't voting me out now. I'm the least threatening person here. Then he blew up Tribal by outing everyone's vote. Do you realize he's forced everyone now to change up their game? And he's forced them to actually start playing. That's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. It'll put them off their game, and that makes them even better targets. Then he converted an insanely high chance, game-altering opportunity into concrete power with the flip of a coin. That single decision changed vote math and momentum in his favor. Well played, Mr. Devins. Of course, this category is a lockdown, I think, for the rest of the season. Best social game, it's Siri. Siri proved yet again this week she's the one to beat. Each week, the person voted out that we've seen makes the mistake of coming up to Siri and telling her who they want out. Just go back and look. Her ability to read, soothe, and redirect conversations keeps her off the chopping block. Her name's never even in the running to be voted out. And she's clearly in a position of power and in an alliance with pretty much everyone. Worst overall game. If I could vote coach again, I would. But that's a dead horse I don't want to kick again. Third night, welcome to the loser circle, Stephanie. Stephanie decided tonight she was tired of playing Survivor. She started by making mistakes she would never make in the past. She would have never went to Siri telling her that she wanted to vote Ozzy out. She knew they were tight. She never once decided to put the blame on Jonathan for starting the Ozzy vote. And the episode's events left her exposed, tired, and in the end, gone. All right. So after episode 10, it's pretty clear this game had an atomic bomb put right in the middle of it called Rick Devins. Starting next week, this game changes simply by necessity. Everyone's game has been blown wide open. Everyone's naked at this point. Everyone knows what everyone has. Everyone knows what alliances everyone's in. And I believe new alliances will begin to emerge and old ones will now begin to fail as people like Ozzy begin to realize that if he takes Siri with him to the end, he loses. And it may be time to begin thinking about how to end her. Or if you're Ozzy, maybe not. And he waits too long and Siri cuts his throat to blindside at Tribal. Oh man, how I love Survivor. Well, that's it for Buff Daddy and the rundown for this week. If you've liked what you've heard, won't you consider hitting the like button? And then maybe even subscribing to the channel so that you get updates and notices of when the new material comes out, the weekly shows that I do. I hope you'll also go back and check. I've started the Aladdin's Arcade shows as well, where I'm just going to jump in and play some old arcade games, have some fun, give you the history of the games, talk a little nostalgia with you, and then play the game. Let you see some games you may not have even have heard before. Quick little fun videos that I hope that you'll get a chance to enjoy. Also, if you hate what you see, there's a dislike button. Just slap that puppy. Slap her right upside the head. I'm fine with that too. You have a voice and I want it to be heard. But I only ask, if you do dislike what you hear, go in the comments and let me know why. I can't get better if I don't know. It costs you nothing to do any of that. It takes less than a minute, but it sure helps the show to get noticed and get into the algorithm. Look, as I mentioned, I'm never going to be Mr. Beast level. I'll just settle for Mr. Buff Daddy. Friends, I hope you have a very blessed rest of your week, and I'll see you right back here for the next one. And always remember, if you're on Survivor with Rick Devens, he's got to go first. See you on the next show, friends.